lot of people gravitate towards these meditation apps and they bring a lot of technology into meditation. Like I know someone who uses a device to actually measure their brain waves.
Yes,
Like for
I'm also aware of it. Yeah.
yeah. So what is your take on that? Like because a lot of people watching this, they rely on those meditation apps and
Yeah.
they swear by them.
Yeah.
My personal view is like I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but I think it's just going to give you the benefit of becoming calm. But beyond that, all these mental and spiritual benefits, you need to do a proper technical meditation which is free of technology. That's just what I think. But so what do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, because see, there are too many apps around, and you got one more app, maybe a fitness app or a meditation app, you download it. So I'm saying that it's good, but as we say, Google search is not research.
Correct.
So it's information based. So all these tools are good. But the interesting part is that if you want to really be a serious meditator, then you should actually have a guru.
Yeah.
So, somewhere you should get associated with some organization.
Yeah. You know, so like a lot of people, especially in the modern day, kind of look down on this practice of gurus and, the practice of joining a organization like YSS or Chinmaya Mission, just because either they think it's too old school, it's like ye budo ka kaam hai, or they look down on it thinking that no, this is religious, I don't want to get into it.
Correct.
It's that. I think that if you just give yourself that one, moment of reaching out in search of knowledge and then practice that knowledge forward, you'll see the rest of your life change. So for that 1 month also just follow someone, get that initial spark and then take it up yourself. But be open to joining one of these courses. That's what I feel.
And you're absolutely right. So the biggest problem now is guru shopping.
Like, what do you mean?
So it's like you're going to this guru and that guru, and finally landing up with no guru.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what is your definition of a meditation guru?
Wow, that's a deep question. Definitely someone who speaks to you. Okay, I'm very drawn to Sadhguru, just the things he says. And also obviously YSS, which is Yoganand Paramahansa. When I read his book, I felt like it was talking directly to me, talking to my heart. So I feel, listen to your intuition. If you feel that there's something in this person that really connects to you, there is a chance that that person could play a guru's role in your life.
Sure.
And it's not necessary. I mean, in the long term, if you're following one guru, that's beneficial for you in your advanced meditations. But initially, you should have perspective at least of what is Sadhguruji saying, what is Yoganand Paramahansa saying, just to kind of develop your own mind in a 360-degree manner. So I feel someone who speaks to you, to your heart, and also a place where you definitely, you feel like your mind is enriched after listening to that person.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You feel like, okay, I've intellectually been stimulated as well as on an emotional and spiritual level in my heart.
Brilliant. I think the basic question right now is, first of all, do you require a guru? And then second question is basically, do you require a guru who is around with you physically, with whom you can discuss, talk? I think for most of us, we require somebody with whom we can talk to, discuss with you. Because see, what happens is that you're absolutely right. If you look at what Sadhguruji is doing, amazing. I think I know of friends who have heard and seen every single video of his. But then I also know that's the first step, and they actually lined up doing a course with Sadhguru in his particular ashram. And they say, I already knew Sadhguru's thoughts, I've seen it, I've read his books, etc. But then when I went over there, I could actually feel the vibes very differently. So I think reading about gurus is very important. But what's very important, that if you, by the grace of God, and that's very important, okay, by the grace of God, you actually find a guru, then we can speak to, talk to, then it's like saying, I'm charging my battery somewhere, but I'm directly charging from the source. Now that doesn't mean, if you don't have a physical guru, you should not meditate or whatever.
Gurus can be astral as well, non-physical.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is the quality of the student is more important when it comes to the teacher. So let me look at two great students of Mahabharata. So one is Arjun, directly trained under the teachers like, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Bhishmacharya. And one guy called Eklavya, who never even met his guru. So he made some idol out of him. And whom do you think is more better as a student?
I personally think Eklavya.
Absolutely. But Eklavyas are rare also.
Yeah.
So let us aim for Eklavyas, but let us be also Arjunas.
Yeah. Also, so a lot of people are watching this thinking that, okay, but how do I get a guru which is non-physical?
100%.
The quick modern day answer is books written by a great man.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. I think when you have those great masters who are no more physically around, still the books can inspire. You just told about autobiography of Yogi.
Yeah.
Again, I spoke about maybe Swami Chinmayananji or Sai Baba. You'd be surprised. All those people have written books. These are guiding people. I'll tell you one very interesting a book. It's called I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. He's no more there, but half of the Europe follows him.
Yeah.
And he's just around the corner.
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right. So books like our Vedas and all our books are actually guiding people in meditation.